Hello, everyone. It's your girl Tay, bringing you some more animal news here at the Let's Talk Wild podcast. Today, we'll be talking about the two fatal cannabis plant grower passings in New York after being exposed to fungus in bat poop fertilizer. Wow. But before we get into that, make sure you follow and subscribe to the podcast on all podcasting and social media platforms. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like and share the video, turn on your post notifications so you can be notified when I go live. You can support the podcast by becoming a member or sending a donation to Venmo or PayPal. The links will be in the description box. Now, let's talk wild. Two men have passed away after using bat guano, also known as bat poop, as a fertilizer for the cannabis plants they were growing. The findings were reported on December 5th, 2024 in the Open Forum Infectious Diseases Journal. Also, they were smoking it as well. So not just growing it, but smoking it, using this bat stool, this bat feces. Crazy. According to the report, Histoplasma capsulatum is a pathogenic dimorphic fungus with evolving epidemiology. Initially described as endemic to the Ohio and Mississippi River valleys, the infection now regularly occurs in central and eastern United States, with cases reported across the entire country. Transmission happens via inhalation of spores. Sporadic cases related to individual exposures now outnumber work-related outbreak cases in the United States. We described two fatal cases of histoplasmosis in Rochester, New York, associated with exposure to bat guano as a fertilizer for cannabis cultivation, including one case in which it was commercially obtained. Ooh, there I go, getting tongue-tied, honey. Commercially obtained. So they bought it. They bought this fertilizer with this bat feces in it. Somebody sold it to them. That's sad and it sucks. But we're gonna get into my wild thoughts later. Y'all know I'm gonna leave timestamps and all that. But let's get into case number one. A 59-year-old man with emphysema who heavily smoked tobacco and cannabis was admitted to the hospital for respiratory failure. He had a sore throat, difficulty swallowing, and weight loss. He had an outpatient CT scan done on his neck, which showed some irregular things going on near his upper larynx and his vocal cords. One of his vocal cords. He also had a chest CT scan done where they found a condition that occurs when a solid or a material or a fluid replaces the air in the lungs. And he was treated for pneumonia and had an improvement in his fever, but he still required oxygen and some invasive ventilation for a brief period of time. He had a direct laryngoscopy procedure done, and a biopsy was also done. And the biopsy showed yeast forms morphologically consistent with histoplasma. And on his exposure assessment, he reported the use of bat guano from an online store as a fertilizer for cannabis plants that he cultivated and smoked. He denied other potential exposures. He was treated, and after 2 weeks of treatment, his histoplasma urine antigen lowered. However, the patient had recurrent aspiration events complicated by respiratory failure. He ultimately transitioned to comfort care and passed away. On to case two. A 64-year-old man with severe peripheral artery disease who drank alcohol and smoked tobacco and cannabis. He was hospitalized for an issue. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. It's two words, honey. I'm not a doctor, so some of these words I will not be pronouncing right. Okay. But he was hospitalized. He also had some poor oral intake associated with poor detention and a 35-pound weight loss over several months. He had a chronic cough and 100-degree Fahrenheit fever. The patient reported a heavy bat infestation in his attic with a thick layer of guano that he inspected on multiple occasions, intending to use it as fertilizer for his cannabis plants. He denied other potential exposures to histoplasma. He had a CT scan done on his chest that showed some thin and thick walled lesions. He also had a CT scan done on his abdomen that showed some pancreatic cystic lesions. And he had an infectious workup done that was notable for histoplasma urine antigen, and the patient declined a biopsy to be done on the pancreatic lesion. He was medicated and treated, and a CT of his abdomen 2 weeks into therapy showed a decrease in the size of the lesions, and he was discharged but readmitted to the hospital 1 month after with abdominal pain. A CT scan of the chest showed a mixed response in the pulmonary cavitary lesions, and a CT of the abdomen demonstrated near complete resolution of the lesions. The patient passed away of complications related to bowel ischemia, which is when the small intestine has low or no blood flow. Now, let's get into the final discussion in the report, and then I'll give my wild thoughts to wrap it all up. The association between histoplasmosis cases and outbreaks with environmental disturbances, particularly in the presence of bat and bird droppings, is well recognized. Bats are one of the few species infected by H. capsulatum. Bird and bat droppings provide an ideal medium for histoplasma growth and serve as a source of the fungus in the environment. Notably, using bat guano or bird droppings as fertilizer may contribute to the infection with H. capsulatum. Outbreaks of histoplasmosis related to agricultural fertilizers have been detected in Latin America. Numerous media articles promote bat guano as a natural superfood. Listen, let's do it in air quotes. If you are watching on YouTube, you can see it, but if you are listening on any podcasting platforms, honey, visualize the air quotes. Natural superfood. Yeah. For cannabis plants because of its richness in nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and organic compounds. These cases emphasize two potential sources of exposure: commercial fertilizers and natural bat guano. Neither federal governmental agencies nor the New York State Department of Agriculture appear to routinely test commercial bat guano for H. capsulatum. The fungus is difficult to culture from a polymicrobial environmental source, and there are limited molecular methods for testing. Therefore, it is important to develop strategies for testing biofertilizers containing bat guano before they reach the market. If the testing is not feasible, risk mitigation strategies should be implemented, such as labeling the product with a warning sign and providing instructions on safe use. Given the recent, legalization and an expected increase in home cultivation of cannabis, along with the promotion of bat guano for this purpose, it is important to raise public awareness about the potential risks of using bat guano as fertilizer and emphasize the need for protective measures such as wearing a mask when handling it. These cases also highlight that growing cannabis can be a relevant part of patients' history as a risk factor for histoplasmosis. Clinicians need to ask about bat guano exposure in cannabis growers to discuss preventative measures and establish timely diagnosis. End quote. Now let's get into my wild thoughts. Now I want to say this before I forget because it wasn't in my notes. I don't think that the government should have, I'm not saying that this report is saying that, but the New York State Department of Agriculture or the federal government agencies appear to, not routinely test commercial bat guano for H. capsulatum. I don't think they should have to test it. You already know it's thriving and it's there. You already know that it's thriving and it's there. I think what the federal government should do and what other state departments should do is introduce laws that ban the use of this. Ban it. They don't need to go out there and test it. You know it's there already. You know that the fungus is present. It thrives in bat and bird poop. You should not have to just go. These workers shouldn't have to go out there trying to scrape off some poop, honey, and bat poop, and they gotta put on their hazmat outfits to try to make sure they're not exposed and stuff like that. They shouldn't have to do all that. You already know that it's present and that it thrives in bird and bat poop. How about make some laws to make it illegal to sell this stuff? Point blank, period. Rest in peace to them, sending love and light to their family and friends. This would be such a shock to me if I was a wife or a partner. Like, oh, he's just growing his weed, whatever. And then they pass away from a fungus that's found in bat and bird poop. Like, that would blow my mind. And I know people don't play about, growing their weed. I'm not saying, these people were batty about it, pun intended, because y'all know I love a good pun. I'm not saying that these two men that passed away were batty, going crazy about it, but there are people out there that are use clearly using this product. And if it's being sold on the market as a super food or whatever for your cannabis plants, these people are going batty about it and trying to go grow some good gas and use what they think are the best fertilizers, and they end up sick or passing away. It would be a fortunate situation. I wouldn't recommend using bat poop to fertilize your plants, given the findings in this report, period. No matter if they put a warning label on it, no matter if they, give you instructions telling you to wear a mask, why would you want to risk your life? I think you could grow some good dank without it. I want you to be alive. It's alive. It's alive. I want you to be alive when your flowers grow, and I want you to be able to smoke and enjoy them, okay? Not end up in the hospital because of bat poop and the deadly fungus that likes to live on it. Smoke good, but grow smart and safe. Leave the bat droppings alone, okay? But what do you guys think? Leave a comment, follow, and subscribe to the podcast on all podcasting and social media platforms. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like and share the video. Turn on your post notifications so you can be notified when I go live. You can support the podcast by becoming a member or sending a donation to Venmo or PayPal. The links will be in the description box. Check out some more podcast episodes here at Let's Talk Wow. Now, love yourself, one another, your pets, and the animals. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.